Hey guys, this is Jeff with thisweekwithjtt. We're still going to talk about the situation about Lia Thompson, the transgender equivalent to Michael Phelps, and how she got stripped of her titles. I talked about this about not too long ago, but I still want to add something to it. It's from Associated Press, and it goes something like this. It's under education. UPenn updates swimming records set by Lia Thompson, settling with feds on transgender athlete case. So here's the thing. Lia Thompson is the transgender equivalent of Michael Phelps. The moment this person entered the scene, that person was crushing the female competition. But his reality, though, this person was born a male. Okay, fine, the person transitioned to a female, but guess what? DNA don't change. Chromosomes don't change. You're not God. I'm sick and tired of people saying, well, you're putting up hormones, stuff. The human genome is way more complicated than you can imagine. Stop making it sound like the moment you're going to change your genome. And no, it don't work like that. You can't just make a man to a woman. You can, from the outside, it could pass for a woman. Yes, I've seen transgender women, even right down to the bikini, going like, you have to look 2 or 3 times. Even when the guy snip, you think that's a female. That's your boy female. But guess what? Down to the bone, down to the DNA, down to the chromosomes, they're still male. Then they got all the other stuff where like you think it's a woman, and that guys be fooled. But here's the thing. Still a male. Period. And turns to Lia Thompson, Stevie Wonder could still like, yeah, that's still a dude. I'm sorry. You can try to look like a woman, but people gonna say like that's a dude. And a lot of parents are worried about their kids and young daughters changing in front of these transgender females. But I digress. Stuff right here. Washington Associated Press. The University of Pennsylvania on Tuesday, this is like from, I believe like about almost 2 weeks ago, July 2nd. The University of Pennsylvania on Tuesday modified a trio of school records set by transgender swimmer Lia Thompson and said it will apologize to female athletes disadvantaged by her participation on the women's swim team, part of the resolution of federal civil rights case. Number one, look at Lia Thompson. Compared to other women, that is not built like a woman. I'm sorry, all that size, mass, muscle, that's male. That's called testosterone. I don't care if this person pumps himself with enough estrogen that can make him look like, the most feminine female, deep dive right to the bone, to the DNA, to the chromosomes, still a male. On the outside, you're fooled by 90% of the population, but here's the thing. Still male. You're a transgender female, but you're not a full female, period. I see a lot of transgender people get triggers like, oh, you're not a natural born woman. This person will never know what it's like to have a period, and every female should have a stroke thinking that this person becoming transgender feel like they would never understand what it's like to go for a period. We men who very closely be with our wives, girlfriend, we would never know. We would never know. I don't care. Pregnancy, don't make me go there with that one. That's another one. But I digress. Goes on to say, the U.S. Education Department and Penn announced the voluntary agreement of the high-profile case that focused on Thomas, who last competed for the Ivy League school in 2022, when she became the first openly transgender athlete to win the NCAA division title. The department investigated Penn as part of the Trump administration broader attempt to remove transgender athletes from girls and women's sports, including the university in Philadelphia that had violated the rights of female athletes. Under the agreement, Penn has agreed to restore all individual division records and titles to female athletes who lost to Thomas and send a personalized apology letter to each of those swimmers. The education departments, you don't go right, you better apologize, because it seems like the moment someone even raised concern about a transgender person competing against these females, these young girls, these young women, they'd be treated like they said the most horrible thing. You think they're speaking blasphemy the way these women get treated. There are women who have even got threats, not getting scholarships, threats of being expelled. Come on. they were treated like they had a pariah for even mentioning a concern about a transgender person competing against them. But they had a right to voice their concern, and they got punished for it. I would say that people who threaten them and all that, they should be kicked off the campus themselves. These top administrators, the people who are tenured, please. If you got the nerve to open your mouth and make threats against people who raise concerns, you should go. Forget the money, you should just go. Getting angry here. By Tuesday afternoon, the Penn website showed other athletes holding the school's top times and Thomas's events. The site was annotated with a note that reads, competing under eligibility rules in effect at the time. Lia Thomas set program records in the 100, 200, and 500 freestyle during the 2021-2022 season. Yup. While Penn's policies during the 2021 and 2022 swim season were in accordance with the NCAA eligibility rules at the time, we acknowledged that there was some student athletes were disadvantaged by these rules. No kidding. Penn State J. Larry Jameson said, we recognize this and will apologize to those who experience a competitive disadvantage or experience anxiety because of policies in effect at the time. It wasn't anxiety. They got threatened the moment they opened their mouth and voiced concern. It seems like every female who voiced concern about this got treated bad or threatened. Thomas did not respond to a request for comment sent to our representatives. Proves us a guy. That's what I'm going to say on that one. As part of the settlement, the university must announce that it will not allow males to compete in female athletic programs. Duh! And must adopt a biology-based definitions of male and female. The education department said, don't people in colleges and universities supposed to be more intelligent than normal? Don't supposed to have some... Let me stop. I'm getting aggravated now. In his statement, Jameson said, Penn has always been in compliance with the NCAA and Title IX rules as they were interpreted at the time, and the university had never had its own policies about transgender athlete participation. The school has followed change to eligibility guidelines as they were issued earlier this year. They said the NCAA changes a participation policy for transgender athletes in February, limiting competition in women's sports to athletes who are assigned female at birth. Our commitment is to ensure a respectful and welcoming environment for all our students is unwavering, Jameson said. At the same time, we must comply with federal requirements, including executive orders and NCAA eligibility rules, so our teams and students athletes may engage in competitive intercollegiate sports. Educational Secretary Linda McMahon called for victory for women's rights. Amen. And thank you, Ms. McMahon. The department commends UPenn for rectifying its past harms against women and girls, and we will continue to fight relentlessly to restore Title IX's proper application and enforce it to its fullest extent of the law, McMahon said in a statement. Good. I'll put it this way, though, folks. I want you to look up the video of the U.S. women's soccer team, the champs. They got the behinds handed to them by a bunch of kids, 14, 15 years old. They got whooped. Grown women who were world champs got whooped by a bunch of kids. What further proof do you need that men and women should not compete together in certain sports? They should not. Never. Okay, this is getting good here. Former University of Kentucky swimmer Riley Gaines, thank you, Riley, thanked Donald Trump, thank you, Trump, on social media and wrote of the sentiment, "Are pigs flying?" Yeah, I understand that because the situation was so bad, she didn't think it would never, be rectified. Gaines has said she started her activism against transgender athletes competing in women's sports after sharing a locker room with Thomas in the 2022 NCAA championships. The Education Department opened an investigation in February and concluded in April that Penn has violated Title IX, a 1972 law forbidding sex discrimination in education. Okay. Such findings have almost always been resolved through voluntary agreements. If Penn had fought the finding, the department could have moved to refer the case to the Justice Department or pursued a separate process to cut the school federal fundings. That would have been bad for them. In February, the Education Department asked the NCAA and National Federation of State High School Association, or the stupid long name is NFSHSA. Stupid acronym. To restore titles, awards, and records it says have been misappropriated by biological males competing in female categories. There were so many instances where it proved that, why do you think you don't see females in football? They would get killed, literally. I hear stories of how there's maybe a female punter in there. Yeah, I bet you money the moment she punt that ball, she was taken off the field immediately. Because she tried to compete against the big boy, she'll be killed. I don't care how much equipment you put on her. You might as well put her like in a special crash, in an exosuit that you can fall off a 10-story building, because these football players will just almost kill each other out in the field. You think a woman can survive better? No. But I digress again. The most obvious target at the college level was a women's swimming. Hold on a second. Where Thomas won the national title in a 500-yard freestyle in 2022. The NCAA has updated its record books when recruiting and other violations have been stripped titles from certain schools, but the organization, like the NFSHSA, has not responded to the federal government's request and didn't respond to emails seeking comment Tuesday. It was not clear how either would determine which events had transgender athletes participated years later. Oh, this could be interesting now. Okay, as I close, Associated Press writers Annie Ma and Dan Gilson contribute from Philadelphia. Okay, so I'm going to leave it right there. So basically, men and women should not compete against each other in sports. They should not. And I can hear the trolls right now. Yes, they have. Number one, leave Billie Jean King out. That dude who she competed against, the guy is mad old. The guy's way past his prime. So I'm not surprised when Billie Jean King beat the brakes off him. Not surprised. Now, put her against Andre Agassi. She's going to get destroyed. John McEnroe, get destroyed. Arthur Ashe at his prime, she'll get destroyed. You going to put her against an old man? Come on. He might, do it for entertainment purposes, but still, he got whooped. As he should. But that's besides the point. I will go more into it, but I'm going to end right here. But folks, what are your thoughts on it, though? You think it was the right thing for Lia Thompson to have the title stripped? And women should be women should be competing in women's sports without any transgender males in there? Or you think something else should have been done? Let me know in the comments down below. Peace.